everyone, my name's Miranda and today I am here to review the new episode of Scream Queens because Scream Queens is back after a week hiatus thanks to the World Series. Now we're back and it's back in all its full killer, bloody goriness. To start off the episode, oh no, what's that? It's the spoiler eagle! If you haven't seen the new episode of Scream Queens and don't want to be spoiled, go away now! Anyway, this episode was a lot more tame than its previous one, and also a lot more bloody than its previous one. It was like a weird juxtaposition in that it wasn't as scary, but at the same time it was a lot more bloody to me. Because the murder victim this episode was Dean Munch's ex-husband, and he was not even killed by Red Devil, he was killed by Dean Munch. And even though it was like we found out at the end that Dean Munch was the one that killed him, I don't think she's the Red Devil. I mean, I don't think she's a good person, but I don't think she's in with the Red Devil killers because it would be obvious to go after her for revenge because she was the one that helped cover up about the baby and kind of basically ruined everyone's lives and kept this undercover and stuff like that. So if you were going after people who hurt this baby, obviously she would be like numero uno in who I would go after. Second of all, Gigi seems very intent on focusing blame on Dean Munch, and I think she wouldn't do that if Dean Munch was part of her little squad. She was the one that told Grace to try and look into Feather and see what Feather has to say, and Feather was the one that was like, oh yeah, Dean Munch is totally capable of killing a person, but what Gigi underestimated is Dean Munch's ability to manipulate a situation because Dean Munch was able to trick Grace and Pete into proving that she was innocent even though she really wasn't, and since the police are so stupid and so like they'll believe anything you say, they got Dean Munch released and Feather locked up instead for a murder that she didn't really commit. So the only thing I think that's covering Gigi is Dean Munch doesn't know she's the one that kind of pointed this finger at her that led Grace towards her, but at the same time, Grace is in a very precarious situation right now if she has Gigi on one hand who's watching her and making sure she's not getting too close to what's happening and everything, but then she's got Dean Munch on the other hand who is going to give her the information about the baby, and Dean Munch isn't really helpful. Like Gigi I think is going to pretend to be more helpful than Dean Munch will ever really be helpful, but Dean Munch is going to tell her about the baby. I feel like that's going to put Grace in the direct line of Gigi's crossfires because I think it's certain at this point that I don't think Grace is the bathtub baby just based on how Gigi is acting around her. She's not acting like motherly or anything like that. She like when Grace isn't looking, she looks like crazy and like mad at Grace and just over it all, and I don't think that's how she would look if Grace was the baby. I feel like she would look at her like very lovingly or something like that even when Grace isn't looking, which makes it interesting because it kind of makes me think if Grace isn't the baby, what is Gigi's like whole end plan with hooking up with Grace's dad? Because we saw in the previews afterwards for the episodes to come that Grace again confronts her father and is like, what are you hiding from me? Do I have a reason to be scared of you or something like that? And he looks really, really creepy again. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen on that front because Gigi also mentioned that this plan is one that has been years in the making. I feel like it's kind of a stretch to just assume that they knew and put in plan that Grace would want to go to the sorority and be a part of it. I feel like you can contribute for a lot of factors, but that's not one of them. So I'm just really, really confused. And we did have the return of Pete in this episode, but I'm still not trusting him. Like, I don't know, especially when he was in the mental ward, he just looked like too, I don't want to say comfortable, but like he didn't look too like astounded by anything that was happening, and we definitely did see like a darker side of him when he said that Dean Munch should go on the electric chair for what she's done, and it was just a very like dark side of Pete, and I still don't know if I like completely trust Pete as much as I like him and I like him and Grace together. I just think that it makes sense to have someone who's working so close with Grace maybe in Gigi's like hands, like being manipulating, like steering her away from the real evidence. And the fact that Dean Munch said she wants to talk to Grace and Grace alone about the baby, I feel like that could be indicative of something happening with Pete that maybe Dean Munch knows about and is going to tell Grace or something like that. But for whatever reason, I feel like Pete is not to be trusted, and I don't know why they're making it so obvious, but at the same time, like, I almost feel like he has to be a part of this somehow, or else like all these clues we're getting, they really don't make sense. Like even if he isn't the killer, I think he's working with Gigi somehow, try and like steer Grace off this topic, because really his main goal is to take down Kappa Kappa Tau. What better way would there be to do that than murdering everyone that's in there? Meanwhile, the other storyline was with the Chanels, and they are demonstrating a perfect example of how fear can turn into paranoia, which can start quickly consuming your lives, because the three Chanels were convinced by dead Chanel through the Ouija board that Chanel was the killer, so they were planning to kill Chanel, but Chanel realized it and stopped them, and Chanel now has this whole mission that she kind of talked about in the last episode, how they're not just going to wait around for the Red Devil to come and kill them anymore, they're going to take the fight to him, and I was really interested in this storyline. I thought it was going to be a nice turning of directions for the show, and like they're no longer fighting, but they're all kind of like going after this guy and showing their like nunchuck skills or whatever. Now Chanel is like convinced that Grace and Zayday are the killer, and I'm just like, so no, like I just don't believe that at all. Like I loved how the last episode ended with like, we're sisters, we're gonna protect each other and go after it, but now the Chanels are going after Grace and Zayday. They're basically going off on that they don't like Grace and they don't like Zayday, and all this stuff started happening when they showed up, but there's also a bunch of other people that just randomly showed up when this stuff started happening, so I feel like they're making too many conclusions and they're all just kind of blindly following Chanel. But at the same time, that last shot was amazing. Like I love the song Beware of Young Girls. I had never heard it before, but it was just so perfect for this episode and it fit it perfectly. Like the editing was so amazing at the end when Grace and Zayday walked in, and then you just saw the four Chanels, their shadows just like watching over them. It was very, very cool, and it's definitely going to be really twisty now because not only are the girls kind of fighting this real killer, but they're kind of now starting to turn on themselves and be like, who can we trust? Who's the real killer? People are again going to start being picked off one by one like flies, so I'm very excited. I mean, the only thing, I'm just so over this whole Chanel versus Grace and Zayday power struggle. Like it's just stupid to me, and what I wanted was for the ladies to like come together and band together and be like, we protect our sisters, but now they're just like turning on each other, and while I think that's cool, I don't think they're turning it on the right people. So if you have seen the new episode of Scream Queens, please feel free to leave your thoughts and reactions about it down below in the comments. I definitely think we haven't seen the last of Feather. I feel like Gigi may have something to do with Feather being released or getting out somehow, and now Feather's gonna have a even bigger grudge to hold against Dean Munch. So I'm very, very excited to see where the episode is gonna go. Very, very excited to see where the season's gonna go, even though I still literally have no idea who this killer could be. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I said that twice, but just roll with it. And also make sure to subscribe to my channel down below to be told when I make all sorts of new videos. Thank you guys again all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!